So today I'm going to be reviewing Iron Gold by Pierce Brown, the fourth book in the Red Rising series. Now, I set myself the challenge to read every book in the Red Rising series, or every book that had been released, in very quick succession. I don't normally read book series back to back, so I've read every single one of these books so far quite close together, only reading about one book in between each one. My overall opinion of the first three books was the first one was alright and the second two were very good. But I did have some issues that was holding all three of them back from being excellent. And if you want more details of what my issues in fact were with the first three books, then please see the description box below. All of my reviews for the past three books are pasted there. But basically, for those of you who don't want to listen to me ramble for ages or get any spoilers for the first three books, every single complaint I had with those first three books has been addressed in this book. Pierce Brown, you did it. If you have not read the first three books, then I suggest you click off now, because I'm going to be talking about this book, and in talking about this book, I will be, without a doubt, spoiling the first three books. However, I will be trying my hardest not to spoil this book. So if you have read the first three books, you have yet to get around to reading this, and you've clicked on this just for a general idea of what it's about, then yeah, I'm going to talk about some of the characters, I'm going to talk about a few things, but nothing that I would consider a spoiler. So don't worry, I won't be spoiling this one. So, Iron Gold, the fourth book in the Red Rising series. It is the biggest book of all four, coming in just under 600 pages, and we now finally follow multiple perspectives. 4 in total. And that is exactly what I've been looking for in this book series. My one complaint of the first three books was that just following Darrow's POV was very limiting in the reader's access to the world that was being created. I just really wanted to jump around more. And this book delivers on that in a big way. And in a way that feels so relevant and connected to the actions and events that took place in the first three books. In essence, this book is about the aftermath of war. And it examines this through many different lenses, but we have like politics and democracy. In order to build this new world democratically, opposing sides need to come together and find common ground. Those who sparked revolution in the first place now find themselves with new agendas that sit against their original aims. This book looks at the casualties of war. In any war, the actions of the few in order to help the many may not have created a change that was much better than what came before it, and in some cases is worse for those it was actually trying to help in the first place. The book also looks at the idea of what it's like to follow those who lost the war, the ones who are now adrift without a sense of purpose or place. The book also looks at the idea of those who are able to exploit the aftermath of war for their own personal gain. And finally, the book is looking at those who consider the war is not over at all until every single threat is completely eliminated. It's just so much more richly layered, and it really takes its time to examine, oh, this is what life would be like after the heroic events of the first three books, and I think that just shows real maturity on Pierce Brown's part. Yeah, well done. So as mentioned, we follow new perspectives in this book, and they are evenly spaced throughout. So first up, we follow Darrow's POV. Side note, in my review of Morning Star, I mentioned how I was looking forward in the next book to finally escaping Darrow's POV. This was based on a comment that one of my subscribers left that said things change up in the fourth book. However, I totally misread that comment, thinking that we finally shift away from Darrow's perspective, but no, we still follow Darrow's perspective, we just have other ones as well. Which I'm totally fine with. If Darrow's still going to be around, then of course we have to follow him. I've spent 3 past videos talking about Darrow, so I don't think I really need to tell you too much about him. But what I can tell you is that 10 years have passed since the events of the third book. Overall, Darrow's aims in this book are to kill the Ash Lord. Darrow believes that the war will not be over until all threats have been eliminated. This position Darrow holds is causing tension, not just politically, but also with his family. We are then introduced to Lyria. She is 18 years old and a low red, a former Gamma from the mines. After the events of the third book, she was moved to the surface of Mars into an assimilation camp where she lives with her family in absolute poverty. She experiences many horrors and strives to escape the life she's been given, a life that was supposed to help her. She's basically Darrow from the first book, except she's in opposition to the world Darrow has created. I thought that was a really interesting way to explore how what you strive for in war doesn't necessarily get what you want. I like that. I thought it was clever. I thought it worked really well. The next person we follow is Ephraim. Ephraim is without a doubt my new favourite character. Ephraim is briefly mentioned in the third book. He was married to Holiday's brother Trig. Ephraim is the leader of a crew of thieves. I loved Ephraim because he is so cynical and bitter. Everything he says is tinged with sarcasm. I found his character really, really funny at times, and then also at other times you can really see how flawed and deeply sad he is. Ephraim is lost, and without a purpose he is just wandering from one job, one heist to the next. Until he is forced into a job that he has to do. The job also has a payout too good to miss. But of course the job is extremely risky. And I know what you're thinking, well that sounds like a very tired trope, Andy. That's basically the lies of Loch Lamora or every Ocean's movie. And I do agree, however, because this is just one aspect of the greater whole, it really works. And the big job that Ephraim and his crew and thieves have to take on has repercussions that have varying effects on every single timeline in the book. And the final narrator we follow is Lysander. Now, Lysander has been travelling the asteroid belt as the ward of Cassius. And in case you don't know, Cassius was a Gold who was in direct opposition to Darrow across the second two books. Both Cassius and Lysander are exiles of the Gold opposition, and they are just travelling the universe searching for purpose. I don't want to go into too many more details about their story because I think it would really tread on spoiler territory. And I think I'm going to leave that there. I think I've told you enough to give you a sense of the kind of stories and where this book takes us, but hopefully I'm not spoiling too many things for you. So let's jump right into what did I like and what didn't I like. What I liked. The writing is absolutely solid and flows beautifully. One of Pierce Brown's strengths throughout this series has been his pacing, and in this book he has proved that he can keep up that excellent pacing whilst tackling multiple perspectives. And he does a bloody good job of it. Bravo, Pierce Brown. The world building and descriptions are pushed even further in this book, and they are levelled really well throughout. My complaints in the first three books have now been addressed. There is a much better sense of place, location. I really started to feel like with each perspective, I was in the world, the location that they were in. I was living, I was breathing it. Yeah, much better job. I loved all the new characters. I think maybe Ephraim was my favourite, but really, I love them all for different reasons. And I think with a book like this that covers multiple perspectives, you have to make sure that they all feel authentic, they all feel warranted, and yeah, they all balance just so well against each other throughout this book, but also in reaction to the events that have come before. It was just really smart, really well woven into the fabric of the structure. I don't know what else to say, the new characters were excellent. And bouncing off of the back of that, I think Pierce Brown structurally has done a fantastic job of weaving all these stories together. They all impact each other either directly or indirectly, and you're almost playing that game when you're thinking about the actions of one character and what it might do on another story and how the ripples are going to get us there. And Pierce Brown shows us with clarity all of those ripples connecting, but also does it in a way that keeps the tension building. Just great. There is a maturity in the writing, the structure, the storytelling, just in everything about this book that did not exist in the previous three. And it really shows. Another like is a like that I've had with all of the books so far, but it doesn't stop being fun. It is fun, it is fast-paced, and it is full of action, just like the other books. If there's one thing I can say for this book series, is that it's a bloody good time. The new characters also bring a banter and a humour to this world that didn't exist in the past three books. Sure, we had the character of Severo, who was really weird and odd, and balanced nicely being Darrow's best friend, but yeah, I just wanted a little bit more of that, and in this book, we definitely get a lot more. I mean, it's mainly coming from Ephraim, but I'm totally fine with that. I just wanted more of it. And finally everybody, you will be pleased to hear that I have been able to connect to a book in this book series on an emotional level. Ephraim and Lyria being the absolute standouts in this area. They are deeply flawed. Like whereas Darrow in the past three books seems to be perfectly balanced between being a little bit bad and a little bit good, and I thought those things left him very bland. In this book, getting Lyria and Ephraim's perspective, they're just so much more layered and complex, and you really feel what they're feeling in this book more. Maybe it's the jump in writing style, maybe it's the jump in maturity of Pierce Brown's approach to this piece of work. Maybe it's the idea that we're now looking at the aftermath of war as opposed to the war itself, but yeah, I really felt for these characters. I connected to them in a kind of emotional way, and that is one thing that the other three books really were lacking for me. And also, you will be very pleased to know, especially for those of you who might be hating me for the fact that I hated Darrow, that now that Darrow is in his 30s, I'm starting to like him more and more. I don't know why, but there was a kind of complexity that's building between him and Sevro's relationship. I actually like the fact that we're seeing a different side from him. It's not a better side. It's not a morally good side, but I've never really wanted Darrow to be that morally good. I don't like characters who are wholly like, I'm just so brilliant, I'm just so fantastic, look how amazing I am at everything. Oh, I am a bit dark, but also I'm gonna save the world and say, I just fucking hate those characters. And in this story, Darrow's journey, what he goes on, is in such opposition to everyone else. I'm a bit like, yes, finally, Darrow, just follow your gut. I don't care if it's bad or good. I just want you to be more of a unique person. And I feel like we get that more in this book. Pierce Brown leaves this book on a massive cliffhanger, but at the same time manages to make it feel complete, which isn't easy to do. So another bravo from me, good job. What didn't I like? Only one thing. In my review of Morningstar, I said that this series hadn't really brought me much creativity as far as the way the world works, like technology, gadgets. It does go there a little bit, but just enough to keep the kind of pace moving. Not enough for me to be really blown away by how smart, how creative that is. And I felt like the book series was lacking that. Now this book, like in all other areas, does push that further, but just not as far as I would have liked. I think there is still a lot more creativity to be brought out in this world. As I've already mentioned, the gadgets, the gizmos, the technology, the sort of set dressing that makes this world feel alien. Things that make you go, oh, that's very smart, and doesn't that tie into the plot really well? I don't know, it's got those things, but I just want more. And let's be fair, that's a very small dislike, and in no way does it damage the book whatsoever. So, you know, that's just a real sort of personal me thing that I'm looking for. Many of you may think that the creativity of the world building, the creativity of what's used in the world is exactly where you want it to be. I think that is just a personal thing in which I'm just wanting a little bit more. To me, this book is better than all three of these books combined. I'm going to give this book 4.5 stars out of 5. It is excellent throughout and in some moments fantastic. And you may be asking, Andy, why are you being so picky? 4.5 stars? Just give it 5 stars. And the reason I'm not giving it 5 stars, or the reason I'm being so picky with this book series, is because it was described to me in a way that made me really expect something incredible. This is verbatim right now. One person said to me, this is the greatest sci-fi book series that has ever existed. Nothing that has ever been written before it is better. That is verbatim. Another person said to me, this book series is so good, it changed my life. Do you know what I mean? Like, people are so hyperbolic about this book series, which is the reason I picked it up in the first place. And I am not having that reaction to it. Do you know what I mean? This is not the best sci-fi series I have ever read. It probably makes the top 10, but I wouldn't say it's in the top 5. Do you see what I mean? And at one point I might do a video about my favourite sci-fi book series. But yeah, it's not as good. It's not changed my life, everybody. It's not the best sci-fi book series that has ever existed. Do you know, so the reason I'm being picky is because of how much hyperbole has been thrown at it from so many people who are actually quite well read. So I was just a bit taken back by how much love this book series was given. Don't hate me, I still think it's excellent, or we have now made it to excellent. I just don't think I love it as much as some people do, but I really don't want to take away at all from the people who adore it. I think if you have found something that you absolutely love, that makes you want to read, that makes you love reading, that makes you want to read something over and over and over again, fill your boots. That's amazing. I love it. You know, there's so many people out there who I meet who just go, oh, I don't read, it's boring. And it fucking drives me insane. I'm like, you just haven't found the right book. And if the Red Rising book series is your entry point for that, then fuck yeah, brilliant. I love it. But it's not going to stop me being picky. So there you go, that's my review of Iron Gold. I'm sorry it got so ranty and rambly at the end there, but have you read this book? Do you love it? Do you hate it? And like me, do you think it is just so much better than the first 3? Yeah, let me know in the comments below. And I've only got 1 book left now. 1 book left until I'm up to date. I'm very excited to continue this journey. Thanks for watching, everybody, and as always, I hope you are well.